Hello and welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera, and I am joined as always by my two lovely co-hosts, Katie.
Hi.
And Livy.
Hello.
Oh, I think I should have started this with previously on Xena Warrior Podcast.
Ooh, I got chills.
Lucy Lawless had a horse accident.
Oh no.
Joss Whedon watched Intimate Stranger
and
copied it.
No, not yeah. Yeah.
And Hudson Leick is amazing.
Oh, so good.
So we will talk about her a lot in this one.
Yay! Good job, Mr. Boyce.
Good job.
That was a good recap.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I don't have many skills. Right, so we are talking about 208 this week, and it's 10 Little Warlords, and it's written by Paul Robert Coyle and directed by Charles Siebert, and it's the conclusion of the body swap arc.
Yes.
The first one.
Which was supposed to be concluded in its very same episode, but with some very quick editing surgery and some careful reshooting, it has run into this new episode.
So I thought it was, it's pretty, I don't know what the right word is. It's not really like lucky or fortuitous, but just that they were doing this particular weird supernatural plot line that kind of allowed for this solution to happen, where they rewrote an episode in a day because they could continue a body swap was pretty, I don't know, might have been helpful to them in the long run for the scramble.
Amazing. I haven't looked up the production order, so I don't know which episode they filmed right before going on hiatus for this press tour in which Lucy got hurt. But yeah, the fact that they had both a body swap episode and an episode in which Xena died. They had a few different options for kind of extending into Xena-less episodes.
And the storytelling situation that we're in our mid-90s-ness, where we have our arcs that are starting but also episodic TV, allowed for them to kind of just shuffle episodic episodes around. Episodes. So that kind of structure also worked in its favor.
And the fact that they were on a hiatus themselves, like when it happened, it like gave extra recovery time for her. Mm-hmm. And she came back a month early because she's a trooper.
That is insane. Yeah.
She's the best.
3 months to 2. I just can't imagine. That is incredible, the amount of work that she must have done to get back there.
She drank a lot of milk when she was little. Cause look at those choppers. Do you guys want to talk about the episode now? Or like, is there more to say about how they dealt with this issue?
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it as we go along, but I do think that I just love this particular solution to not having Lucy Lawless recasting with Hudson. It makes sense considering all the storytelling the show has done up to this point with identity confusion between Callisto and Xena. So this feels like a very natural extension of the themes that the show had, loved up until this point.
Yeah.
I'm less crazy about some of the things the show does later to try to cover up Lucy's absence.
And sort of multiple occasions, like now and then later in season 5 during her pregnancy as well. It's the same kind of issues appear.
Yeah, they do a lot of body swapping, and none is as potent and psychologically fascinating as this one.
Yeah.
Like whenever you put Xena in a body, I just think, where's Callisto right now?
Where's Callisto?
Well, you think that because you're like, this was great. Why would you change this?
And and also, I mean, we're going to talk about this in the episode, but oh my God, how just like crazy interesting would it have just been if she was stuck in Callisto's body for, a 3-episode arc?
Wow. They probably thought that was too much. Like at the time, they would just be like, that's too many episodes to not have your lead.
I definitely think they panicked. They wanted to... They have actually a lot more episodes shot before the hiatus in the can. We're going to be talking about 2 more next week. that were both shot before Lucy was injured. And I think they've made the sort of sensible, like if you're thinking in terms of like Rob Tapert, and like he wanted to almost like spread those precious Lucy episodes over this long period in which she was recovering. So they kind of like dribble them out in between these episodes.
It
where
really
she's
worked.
not there.
I thought it really worked.
I think like Livy and I knew that this happened. So you could kind of see that these things were being done as you watch season 2, but I was always kind of constantly confused about like what was when, what was shot when.
Because we were watching it, and again, we knew that it happened, did not know exactly what, but like, for instance, we watched this episode, right? And then there's like another episode, like Destiny, let's say. She's doing like
horse
karate
stunts. Yeah.
and like flips and stuff. And it's like, what's going on?
But somebody watching, you know, on Hulu right now for the first time wouldn't have this context or even or know anything about that. So I was curious to find out what it felt like to someone who didn't know. So I asked like one of my friends who just finished the whole thing, and I think she might have like vaguely knew that something had happened, but didn't really actually know when. And so like the only time that when she was watching it, it felt like something was being affected by outside forces was like Destiny and the Quest, and not this. And this just felt like it felt like Xena Light episodes, like here and there.
Yeah. So I think that when we were just reaching these episodes, personally, I confused the Quest with this one, and I was like, oh right, this one, and then. Like rewatching it, I realized that this is like the continuation of the Callisto one. I was like, oh, never mind. This one's like way better in my opinion.
It's juicy. It's a juicy situation. I don't know if they necessarily mind all the drama that could have been there because they had like 3 days or something to pull this together and, you know, rewrite it for Hudson to star. So you couldn't really have the characters dealing too in depth with the fact that Xena looks like Callisto.
Yeah.
But what is there is fascinating. It works really well considering the chaos that it was produced in.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's dive in.
No.
All right, moving on. I'm just trying to think of other shows where something happened and like the person had to get like a temporary partner for a while.
X-Files?
Yeah, the X-Files. Krychek.
That was like an episode.
Because she too is a trooper.
Yeah, but I mean, well, that was a whole situation. Like nobody should have come back that fast. Poor sweet
Jillian.
No, but I mean, obviously I thought of that first, but I was like, that's not the same. And also, her missing episode is like intolerable. You need Scully.
It involves vampires.
No, but I mean, like, there must be some shows where that kind of do pull the trigger on allowing, or like get lucky with some kind of guest star that's so awesome they're like, okay, cool, this person could be in for 5 episodes while...
I'm sure it's happened, like between, you know, various illnesses and
you
maternity leave.
It happened on SVU.
Of course it did.
Yeah. With that lady from Gladiator, I think. She came in to be Stabler's partner while Mariska was having a baby.
I have to say, like, from the perspective of a viewer, there's actually something really exciting about situations like this. Obviously terrible for everybody involved, but seeing a show like scramble and like kind of its whole formula gets so disrupted, that's fun for a viewer. It's fun to see the show suddenly turn into something else.
I firmly believe that Gillian Anderson being pregnant in season 2 of The X-Files fundamentally changed television as we know it.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. It changed how they started telling that story in like ripple effects forever on that show and just like actual narratives. I'm not kidding.
They
it's true.
kind of created like long form serialized stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was already there in the first season, but that whole show changed because of that completely. Nothing was the same after it.
And that's where you go, like, I wonder what their whole plan was for the original season 2, you know, like, and here too, I'm like, I wonder what really was the plan for season 2. I mean, they had such a distinct plan for season 3 and 4, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
that I wonder what this was, like, because this one isn't really like, it doesn't have quite the arc of the season is her horse accident. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah. Well, and then when they do start writing new episodes, they write them kind of with that in mind. Where
she can't do fights for a
can't,
while.
Yeah, so they're like fight light episodes. Yeah.
I don't know if you see her on a horse until season 3.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it's
in the new episodes.
Yeah. In the.
Not the ones that were moved around. So confusing.
Yeah.
They really do.
But it's really wonderful, like, the moment that it does happen. Because you're like, yay, she did it. She's back in the saddle, literally.
Excellent.
And I read an interview with her where she said, that she was, I'm not sure exactly when she gave this interview, probably towards the end of season 2, where she said, I'm back. I'm not riding the horse. It's not because of anything physical. I'm just scared.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel you, Lucy. Like, that is a really upsetting thing to happen. And obviously, like, it could have been so much worse. And how do you get that out of your head when you, like, climb into that saddle?
Yeah.
But she does it eventually.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Probably helped that she had grown up with, like, horses and things to be able to get back on there. Unlike me, who, like, never went skiing again.
Oh, boy.
After I, like, flew into a tree. So I feel it. I feel that. No more skiing.
Okay, so Hudson.
What? No. Just like my skiing.
I love your skiing story.
Gabrielle wakes up with Callisto bending over her.
No, it's very scary for her to, like, see this face in her face.
Yeah.
First thing.
That's every morning she wakes up and is just like, motherfucker!
Exactly.
Well, literally, Joxer does that. Basically. I mean, that was the stuff that the writer had to basically rewrite, which is that people were reacting. Like, the characters had to react to Callisto, or, like, Xena and Callisto's body.
I think it's great. It's just a great serendipitous situation where you have this episode where everybody's kind of acting out of character for reasons we'll get into. And it really works that everyone has this, like, a crazy aggression and then, like, they're all really annoyed that Xena looks like Callisto. So this episode works. I mean, maybe by the skin of its teeth, it works. It feels semi-coherent.
I'm going to go out even further and say that I like this episode more than I think I would have if it was just a regular episode like it would have been.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if it just had Lucy in it and it was a normal episode where everybody just was, like, aggressive, it would have been, like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
agree.
and I think that the Hudsonness makes it really interesting and, like, a step above what it might have been.
I'm with you. The only place where I can't help but wonder is the relationship between Kevin Smith and Lucy Lawless. Like, their playing of this, it's a turn in the Xena Ares relationship, and it would have been nice to have Lucy doing that.
Absolutely.
Not that Hudson doesn't do an amazing job with the material, but I think this could have been a memorable episode for the way Ares is immortal and Lucy Lawless as Xena were palling around.
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Well, they sort of redo it.
They'll do it later.
Ares had a farm.
They'll do it a lot of times.
But specifically the mortality and various things like that.
So anyway, I love that Gabrielle asks Xena if she can maybe, like, dye her hair.
Yeah. I love it too. And again, I'm like, I wish she did, because I wanted this whole thing to continue.
Like, I don't know how much time has passed, right? Is this, like, the next morning?
No,
Because, like, my
so.
favorite thing is that, like, obviously, as we go through the episode, Xena has to be Callisto. But I feel like the first thing Xena would have done would have been like, I don't want to wear Callisto's outfit.
Yeah.
Let me get, like, some new clothes that are, like, for me in my new bod. But no.
I mean, this is why I would have loved this to be a 3-episode arc. I would have loved to see, like, that other outfit. Like, what would this almost new character wear? Not Xena's costume, not Callisto, something else. They have at least made the tacit attempt to, like, straighten Hudson's hair so that it's more like Lucy Lawless's.
Yeah, for sure. But this is kind of like my criticism of the concept in general, is that Xena in Callisto's body doesn't have, like, moments to herself kind of dealing with that. Like, they didn't add her staring at herself in a stream or something, like, while washing her face.
She's very nonchalant about it.
She really does not care. Yeah. She's literally like, get over it, guys. This is how it is.
I feel like at the very end, she's, like, slightly, you see, like, a kind of wistful mournfulness about it, but has still accepted it the whole time.
She's putting on a brave face.
Yeah.
A brave Callisto-looking face.
Callisto-looking face.
But I loved, Vera, what you were saying last week about how you would have loved Xena to go on a kind of, down spiral because people react to her as if she's Callisto, and that's something she would need to redeem Callisto's record.
Well, it's something that I wish she would want to do herself. Like, for instance, we talked about Who Are You, the episode of Buffy, and how their faith in Xena's
I'd watch that.
faith is also there.
They should have all been like a four-way switcheroo.
It's like a 70s style key party,
Yeah.
except everybody switches bodies.
That's the first Cape episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But no, Faith in Buffy's body chooses to start over for herself. Like, this is her new attempt at life. It's like a weird it's going to be like a hybrid herself plus Buffy, where she genuinely is like fighting vampires and doing good, like doing the right thing. So I would have loved to see an entire arc of Xena in Callisto's body wanting to redeem her. Like, even if Callisto herself didn't want this, she would do it for her because, like, that's what she knows she should do.
Interesting.
And I love the version where it's just like a slippery slope and Xena as Callisto starts reverting.
Well, you know that would happen in one
So
episode,
juicy.
but Gabrielle's there. It's fine.
It's fine,
She's
it's
gonna
fine.
get her back. It's totally good.
I'll read all these fics.
It's juicy. Yeah, I feel like if this had happened today, they might have tried something because now, serialized storytelling
Yeah.
is more
Oh, yeah.
accepted.
I was thinking about that too. Like, I think if it was now, they would have had to do something very, I don't know, like that just kept progressing the exact same arc of whatever the season you were doing, because there's only one. Yeah.
So Jaxer shows up because he's in all of these episodes from now on, I guess.
Well, I think that's also part of the panic of not having Lucy Lawless is, get the familiar faces in, bring as many in as you can.
He might have been in it, though, originally.
He probably would have had
Yeah.
to have been. If they only rewrote like 10% of it, he was already going to be.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Jaxer's just there.
He's
Get used to
there.
it, guys.
Get used to it.
So he shows up and he has a scroll for Callisto from Ares. But it's for Callisto, right?
Yeah, it's
Specifically
sent to Callisto. This is someone who doesn't know that she's incarcerated/dead.
No, but he does know, right? It's
I
like
don't
a plan.
know.
It's like a serious plan from him.
I think Sisyphus has been told by Hades.
Spoilers, Sisyphus.
Oh my
I
god.
know, right?
I can ruin this episode for all the people who have clearly watched this episode and are now listening to our podcast. I mean, I don't really get this plan, but they very specifically had the scroll be directed to Callisto, not Xena. I love Jaxer's burn to Gabrielle, where he's like, "Oh my god, are you a fierce warrior trapped in the body of Gabrielle?"
Yeah.
That was a good singer. And it's true.
It's true.
So Xena knows that this is a weird scroll to have, so something's up.
Especially because it's addressed from Ares, the god of war, and she knows that Ares, for sure, knows that Callisto is not around to receive the scroll.
So then they, the next morning, they're watching a village?
Yeah, they go to a town where I guess all the warlords have been directed to meet.
Right, so
based on the
So they
scroll.
watch, two warlords. This is, ZZ Top one.
Oh my
giant
god,
beard.
the worst
He
beard I've
is
ever
ZZ
seen.
Top.
Yeah, and then this, other one. And
Face
they're,
tattoos.
Yeah, face
This
tattoos.
is the point where we should talk about how this is called 10 Little Warlords, and
Oh,
all of the
right.
warlords have gotten a note from someone.
Uh-oh,
And
we're opening
what
up the
is
jar.
Is it really? It's And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie.
Is that what it's
It
called?
was originally called Bad Things. Throw it in the jar.
It was based on a nursery rhyme called something very, very not okay.
Yeah, at the most, I think that people are most familiar with the second title, which is 10 Little Indians. Sure. You can look up the original. We don't even have to talk about it.
No.
But it's And Then There Were None, which is a very popular mystery, right?
Yeah.
Where a bunch of 10 people,
10 bad people.
10 bad people receive a mysterious note telling them to come to this particular place at this particular time. And then they all start getting killed off one by one.
Yeah.
And they're all being punished for their various badnesses.
This was just a really good miniseries.
It was, yeah, on
BBC.
It was really good.
With Charles Dance and Aidan Quinn, who is Feely and or Keely, the dwarf, the hot dwarf from The Hobbit.
Yes, Feely and or Keely.
Yeah, that Agatha Christie, she knows how to do a good mystery yarn. We'll see how
does Paul Robert Coyle.
Well, yeah, this is weird because, I mean, the whole suspense of, I'm just going to throw a coin in the jar because I can't even think what the name of the story is. It kind of hinges on the identity of this person who's invited them to this house. But in 10 Little Warlords, like, it's revealed to be Sisyphus, and you're immediately like, well, that guy has some fucked up plan to, like, murder you all. So
Right.
there's no real, like,
Yeah, there's no
driving
mystery.
force.
Yeah, they're kind of not quite doing it.
I don't think they quite understand Agatha Christie.
Yeah, it's more or less just, like, referencing bad people getting notes.
And they sort of arrange each of the corpses on a table, which is very, and then there were none.
And they have to go to like a very remote place. So like this scene that we're leading up to is like Xena and Ares getting on a boat to go with all the warlords.
On a boat, yeah. This is the first time we see the boat set.
Really?
The Xena boat set.
Oh yeah,
That's right, Rob. Xena boat set.
Yeah,
you
Rob
really wanted a boat.
Tapert.
You got a boat.
I like the boat.
I love the boat too.
It's
They get
gorgeous.
so much mileage out of that boat.
It's
this
a good
year.
boat.
It's really great. Yeah.
Is it always the same boat?
It's for any show. It's
Literally
always
the
the
same
same boat for any show, guys.
I know that.
And everybody keeps saying we have to get a bigger boat.
Well, here Xena and Gabrielle are observing these warlords, and they have the squirrels, and she's like, okay, watch it. They're going to totally fight. They're going to fight. And nope, they're just like, hey, we have squirrels. Look at these squirrels that we have.
Let's be friends.
Yeah. Then they go into the village, and what's Gabs up to?
Gabs is suddenly really,
She's cranky.
really
Guys,
cranky.
Xena thinks she's hangry.
She's absolutely hangry. And this is,
She's
yeah.
one of my favorite thing. It's just like, they was just like, go get some food.
I also love that she's like, what, did you sleep on a rock again? Because we know that Gabrielle needs sleep. She needs food. She likes money. I don't know if she gets cranky if she doesn't have money.
Money is coming up.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so there's a lady who's like, fish cakes, lovely fish cakes. And what is it, like 5 for a
I think
dinar?
6 for a dinar.
6 for a dinar, which I'm like, dang, those are cheap.
Good deal.
Even cheaper across
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah,
Remember that Joxer's boots cost 500 dinar.
No, 50 dinars.
No, it was
$500.
It was 500 dinars.
No, it's 50
it was
dinars.
50 dinars.
Oh, dude,
The
we said
translation.
that it was-
This is inflation.
Yeah, the dinar translation to dollar/inflation.
Okay,
equals
well,
500.
50, that's still 300
Fish cakes.
fish cakes, so it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And from now on, they only deal in fish cakes instead of money. But yeah, the guy from across the street is like, no, get it from me. I got 10 for a dinar.
That's a lot. And that I'm getting kind of concerned because, like,
yeah, what is it
I
really
don't
made
wanna
out
eat,
of?
like, really cheap fish.
Yeah. I don't think it's just fish.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we're concerned for Gabrielle.
But Gabrielle-
She cares too much about getting a deal.
She loves a bargain.
So a crazy fight starts happening between these like fish cake peddlers, and they're like literally pulling her apart almost. Like,
My
between
note
each
here
other.
is that capitalism is poisonous.
But much like Gabrielle, I also love a good deal. And she's like, where's my bargain? It's like, it's literally a line she has.
It took me until this moment to be like, oh, something's actually wrong with Gabrielle.
It's true, because everything else was in character.
In character. And it's just like, so the stuff that's wrong is just exacerbating qualities that are already there.
Yeah.
In this fight, there is a lobster what gets thrown that screams and flies and is caught by Xena.
Oh no!
Also, Gabs is trying to bludgeon someone with a fish at this point and must be stopped.
Xena, meanwhile, enters like this bar and encounters like this hooded bum of a man,
Yep.
and it turns out that it's Ares.
Yes.
It's Ares. What's he doing there?
He's a drunk now. He's a mortal drunk. Okay, so the crux of it is that Ares' sword has been stolen, but not the one that's in his ear. It's
No,
still there.
that's
so
still
we
there.
know that that is not where his power lies.
No.
But he says that the God of War is taking a holiday. Clearly a reference to Death Takes a Holiday, which you may remember was remade in a movie with Brad Pitt called Meet Joe Black.
Oh, no.
What? Was this
No,
at
I
the same
didn't.
time? When did that come out? 97?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they must be pretty close.
Yeah.
Might be.
Remember,
Might be
he
They're
got
related.
not doing
by a
that
car,
here.
double hit by the car. Same car.
Oh, the unintentionally funny sequence
Yeah.
of Meet Joe Black. Yeah.
Oh, geez. But you know, this idea of like a god kind of abdicating his post and in his wake chaos. I mean,
But
that
it
is-
wasn't his choice.
Right.
He was deposed.
But he is having a kind of, you know, a holiday of sorts
Right.
in which he just drinks.
It's a forced holiday.
A staycation.
But yeah, it's basically a staycation. Well, not even. He got kicked out of Olympus.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's an actual.
Yeah, it's an actual
He's
vacation.
slumming it.
Yeah, he seems really homeless.
And I love that he's like, Xena, don't you recognize an old friend? And it's like, yes, dude. She literally recognizes you, like, before you even reveal yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because that's
She
how she
always
rolls.
knows.
And Hudson nails the delivery of Ares.
Of
Yes.
course. So who deposed him? I forget now.
He loses his sword in the chaos created in Intimate Stranger.
Right.
And in losing his sword, he is depowered. That sword is where his power lies.
But was it Zeus?
I
I
guess
feel like
so.
they named someone.
Did they name someone as actually punishing him?
Yeah.
Oh,
It is.
I
I mean, it
didn't
has
catch
to be
that.
Zeus, right? I mean, I
He's-
don't know.
he's
I don't
boss
remember,
god.
guys.
Well, that's what Xena says. She's like, "Who
Oh.
did this to you? Was it Zeus?" But like,
Yeah, but
that's
did he
not
say yes?
answered. No. And then like, all we know is that like Hades and Sisyphus are up to shit.
Okay.
In the episode.
There's a conspiracy here. It's actually weirdly complicated.
It's so, that's the kind of this was not part of like any rewriting. I don't think. I think this was just like a complicated plot to follow along with later.
It's funny how the less good episodes of Xena always seem to have this trouble.
Yeah.
A plot that's
We're just like, what?
needlessly overcomplicated.
Yeah.
I feel like this was another, like, this guy's script in itself felt a little bit season 1 as well. Not just because it has Sisyphus, who is shit from
It
season
reminded
1.
me actually a lot of Royal Couple of Thieves, in that you kind of have this reason for your characters to get on a boat and go
Go to
somewhere
an
else,
island.
sort of posing as a couple. There's
Yeah.
that scene with Xena and Ares in the hotel room,
And she's
basically.
pegging him.
But you know, it gave me those vibes.
Oh, yeah.
They're hiding bodies, just like
Yeah.
in Royal
Yeah,
Couple
you're
of
right.
Thieves.
Yeah, very much so.
We should talk a little bit about Kevin Smith and his different performance here
As a human,
as a drunk, confused, sad human.
it's great. He was so fucking good in all the comedy episodes.
He does this really funny thing with he's like, oh my god, is this what pain feels like? Which reminded me of Captain Hammer in Dr. Horrible. And he's sort of gloating about how it's not so bad. And Xena directs him to hold rag soaked with wine to his lip, which is split. And he like makes such a face when that happens. It's a really good piece of comedic acting by Kevin Smith. And Hudson's face watching him do this is really sweet. And you immediately begin to see this like affection
Yeah.
that Xena has for him, seeing him in, you know, there's something about having this godlike person suddenly struggling with these silly human things. It's sweet.
Did you really use the word affection there?
She definitely has this sort of half smile as she's watching him do this. I mean, maybe
Affection is just so quick to jump to a certain place. Like, I would say
You think she's
she
gloating?
feels
She's like-
endeared to see this dude she generally despises kind of, like, it's a sympathy. Like, she has sympathy for him, as I do, who I'm just going to say right now, I'm not really an Ares fan, but I'm okay with Ares. As I am. But, you know, I'm just like, okay, Ares is here, you know. But I loved seeing him progress into, I guess previously he's just like really one note. So like I like seeing this progression.
this
And
really is a new side of
yeah,
him.
it's a new side of him. I saw the sympathy and the humor in the situation. And it really reminded me of Spike on Buffy when he had multiple issues like this, where he was
this
first
is
with
Chip
a
in the
chip.
brain.
Yeah, it's the same time in Who Are
Chip
You
Berries.
as well. Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
Chip Berries, and then obviously later.
3 years before Buffy. 2
boy.
years before Spike is introduced on Buffy in the first place.
No, we're not supposed to be so mean.
Buffy did it first. Buffy did it first.
no.
Buffy did it first.
It did?
No, that's what everybody say. Buffy did it first is what people generally say about all the things.
That was just the wrong song. I'm sorry.
Xena did it first. Xena did it first. Xena did it first.
That literally sounds like Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Don't tell Scotty. Scotty doesn't know.
Well, that's relevant.
Yeah, undersex.
Always
relevant.
relevant. Always relevant. There's just like a part in this where I just noted again Hudson doing really good Xena physicality when she's like, I think Gabs shows up and is being her like angry little feisty self, and she like just kind of pulls her backwards in this again very Xena-esque way that's just like keep using the word nonchalant, and I don't know if that's correct either, but it's just very like straightforward. I don't know, it's just one of there's so many little moments where like Hudson continues to freak me out with the performance.
It's amazing. I think that Intimate Stranger had more of those holy shit moments.
Yeah.
That was by design.
Yeah.
Because you had both actresses there and your brain is breaking from seeing them doing each other's things. But this episode, it's really speaks well of Hudson in that you don't think about it all that much.
I agree.
Yeah.
Considering.
I accepted that this was Xena. Much like she wanted me
You
to.
were like, hi, Xena.
You said that they didn't like their performances or something?
Yeah, Vera and I both read some quotes, I think from both Hudson
them,
and
yeah.
Lucy, criticizing their individual performance, that they just never really felt like they got it,
That's
that
crap.
they felt like it was such a struggle.
Hudson just like hated just being this way, like being acting as Xena. It seems.
Well, I mean, Hudson is so great as Callisto that
Yeah.
you do in some ways feel like this, this is not her true self.
I mean, it was a really difficult. I could see how she would be just scared, like, because this was huge to.
Oh,
kind
of course.
Like she was thrust into this
Yeah.
first. Let's just say.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job, but I can see her kind of being really like terrified that she was sucking and like just everybody would hate her.
They're both a nonsense.
They are
because
nonsense.
They're so good.
They're perfectionists. They hold
Yeah.
themselves to really high standards. That's what creates these incredible performances. And it's too bad that the actresses can't see how incredible they are.
They're
really.
so incredible.
I really love Aries' line to Xena about how she must miss staring into those baby blues every time she passes a mirror. That's his image of what it's like to be Xena. She just walks by mirrors being
Ooh,
like,
my eyes.
Hello, handsome.
They're so blue.
But they are so blue.
They are so blue.
And yeah, she would just get lost in them.
I mean, we all miss them. It's
Yeah.
true.
But I love Hudson's glorious brown eyes.
Yeah.
Brown-eyed girl.
Blonde hair, brown eyes is a fun combo.
They're not super dark, so you could see just how like wonderfully light brown they are with the light.
They're also, as I mentioned, slightly too big for her face, which is a really
good way.
freaky effect. She is an amazing looking person, but Aries likes Lucy Lawless better.
Yes, those baby blues.
So he cuts a deal, or tries to cut a deal with Xena, that if she helps him get his sword back, he will give her her body back.
Well, he was supposed to do that. Like, that's why she doesn't have the body, because he lost his sword originally, right? Because he was like, oh, I would have
Yeah.
totally given you your body
Exactly.
back before.
That's the thing.
But,
Yeah.
like, I
Right.
lost my sword when all those,
Yeah,
like,
so-
zombies were
This
attacking
is also
Callisto.
funny because he got so, like, sexually humiliated in the previous episode that I think this whole, like, I lost my sword thing is a euphemism.
Oh, boy.
He can't get it up after what Callisto did for him, and this whole episode is about him needing to buy some Viagra.
Wow.
Ares now explains how him not being God of War has affected all of humanity.
Right, and we were like, oh, okay, it makes sense now what's going on with Gabs.
That everybody who hasn't learned in the course of their life to channel their anger through violence now doesn't know how to cope.
Yeah.
This was weird, I thought. I mean, I like, obviously, the comedic possibilities that it opens up for all the secondary characters. But I did feel like it's weirdly trying to justify war. That, like, if we didn't have war to take out our aggressions, we would all be, like, Scott Rudins. Well, you know, just, like, hyper-emotional temper tantrum nutcases.
Scott Rubin, the producer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hollywood.
Sorry, that was a very specific Hollywood reference. He's hard to get along with.
Yeah, it's rough over there in the Rudin production offices.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's
What
just
if he's
me.
listening
Me being a pacifist. I'm like,
podcast?
no
He's not.
way. That is not why we have war. To just like, you know, let off some steam so that
Oh my
we're all
God.
more laid back in our social lives.
I just want to start singing the war song from both musicals, I
War.
guess. But maybe
Both
the second. Maybe the second one.
Oh, war. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, both musicals have a war song.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, you know, Ares is always saying to Xena, I want you to be my champion so that you can bring peace and prosperity to the world. And I've always dismissed that rhetoric as like total bullshit. It's bullshit. But then here in this episode where he's not God of War anymore, like, it's chaos. If he's God of War, the world is a peaceful place to be. That's his
But he
argument.
still wants Xena to conquer the world via warlording.
Yeah, and then
that's how
it'll be a
be
peaceful place.
Yeah,
He believes
yeah.
in tyranny.
Yeah.
Right.
Xena tells Gabrielle to recite a poem every time she's feeling angry.
It's the stupidest poem.
The Elysian Fields poem? You
I-
guys don't like her count to 10 poem?
I
like
rolled
it.
my
I
eyes
like
at it.
I like it. I think it's cute.
I like the scene there. You know, we have the Xena Gabrielle campfire scene with Angry Gabrielle and Callisto Xena.
Yeah, it's good.
It's pretty fun. And like, but Gabs is going on this rant, right, about, and she's in a good mood, it seems like, even though she's very aggressive, but says to Xena that now she knows what it's like to be her,
Whoa.
which is very intense as a thing to say, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
is
what
this
Xena
what
is
Xena
she?
is like?
Yeah, what does she think? Like,
Is she talking to
Specifically.
Callisto here without
yeah,
meaning
like
to?
is like what
I
is
only
that?
just understood
Is
that.
that
It makes more sense.
It does make more sense.
This is what it's like to be Callisto for sure. Xena.
Or maybe she's talking about that part of Xena that always is cackling with glee when she fights, that enjoys it a little bit.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
I did feel that. I mean, she says, "I hate you so much right now, Gabrielle. I can't even explain why. I just hate you." I felt that all of that was about the fact that she is in Callisto's body.
Yeah.
This sort of unspoken confusion and frustration.
Very specifically calls her an irritating blonde.
Oh, right, she does.
Yeah.
She stops herself. But yeah, she's going to call her an irritating blonde, which is funny because that's always what everyone calls her.
yeah.
Pot kettle.
So Xena and Ares steal a warlord's scroll invitation, and that's how they get onto the ship. They meet a bunch of other invitation warlords.
8 of them.
Yeah,
Presumably.
There's the Enigma from the X-Files episode with all those
Yeah.
face tattoos and some other ones. That's where she has to act as Callisto.
This is
Because
Hudson
Callisto has a scroll.
Playing
Yeah.
Xena playing Callisto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ooh, that's some Inception-y stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've already seen Lucy do that a bunch of times, so it's really great to see
Callisto. Wait.
Hudson.
Hudson
playing
as
Xena,
Xena playing
playing
Callisto.
Yeah.
So now they're on the boat.
She says rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated to the warlords when they're like, "Didn't you die?" Which is a apocryphal Mark Twain quote.
Yes, it is. He got like accidentally TMZ'd that he was dead.
That's right.
Like his obituary was
Oh,
published in the
no.
paper, but it was not true. And like there was like a longer response, and that's like the condensed response that wasn't actually what he said, but close enough.
What was Jeff Goldblum's response? Because wasn't there that year where he was
that's
reported as
right.
being killed or something?
Well, I
Oh,
feel
no,
like
no,
this
no.
should just be the standard response,
Response
for
for
anybody
everybody.
who gets that on Twitter. Yeah.
So there's no weapons allowed on this boat, and then they get this like crazy spinny top message from the Ares, I guess, the person who's inviting them.
It was
So the
ridiculous.
Inception top, but giant.
The Inception top is back. Everyone's still spinning. Everything is still
It's like-
always spinning from now on.
all this stuff about like who will be the next God of War.
Oh, right,
like,
yeah.
It's such a reality show competition.
Yeah, well, it is a reality show competition because a bunch of these warlords end up kind of like teaming up, making
But they're
deals,
not here to
making
make
alliances.
friends. They are not here to make friends.
Who gets the rose from Ares?
Also, Joxer appears claiming that he should have a crack at the sword.
Yeah.
And I love this little moment where Xena pretends to be Callisto and scares him off.
She hisses.
Screaming.
She screams, she
Yeah.
hisses.
She-
and he's like,
she only
just don't
does-
hurt me, Callisto.
I like that she did the hissing because actual Callisto hasn't done that in a while. Like, I feel like actual Callisto dropped that, but like Xena was
As Callisto's like,
she
I
hissed
liked that
one
hissing
time.
thing she
I'll
did.
hiss.
This was a big scream right here. This was like she screamed up in his face. And then he reacted very strangely to being screamed at in the face.
And Ares witnesses her giving this performance and praises it, which I thought was an intriguing moment. Saying there's certain advantages to being trapped in the skin of a psycho. He perceives our plot line where maybe he could tempt her back into his fold
Oh no, not the folds again.
by being like, aren't you having more fun as a blonde?
Yeah. But he's really hungover.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
He's
And, yeah,
experiencing
he learns
his first
that.
hangover. That's a bummer. That sucks.
Yeah, he's
Pukes
And-
over the
and-
side and is on a boat
Yeah.
to boot.
Oh my
Terrible.
god, the perfect storm. Ugh.
it's really kind of gross.
And this is also the first time he's kind of talking about being a god and how, you know, he's had all of these powers and responsibilities like for his whole life. And it kind of is beginning to sound like a horrible job. This was the first moment where I personally, as a viewer, kind of felt sorry for him. I was like, gross. Like, your life is probably weird and twisted and strange. You know, this whole idea of the gods are people just like us, like, makes them really annoying most of the
Yeah.
time in Xena, because you're like, oh my god, they're so unreasonable, they're so selfish.
That's how
you
they
realize-
are.
But you realize if they're people, then they're people who have certainly been damaged by, like, doing all this shit all the time.
There's a scene of a tiny boat kind of going across the screen, and there's like an ADR dialogue that it's Joxer and Gabrielle, and they're following Xena.
And
Yeah,
this
what-
was
what
definitely
happened?
added. That was
Yeah.
because I feel like they probably just showed up on the island or whatever later, and it's just very confusing that they just appear. So that just seems very clearly like
Network
we need
note.
to put something in to show that these two also got on a boat and got to
Yeah.
the island. 'Cause otherwise, how did they just show up?
Yeah, and Gabrielle's like super angry. She's like, "Stay on the other side of the boat," and he's like, Joxer still.
Yeah, Joxer has remained Joxery.
Yeah.
He has not been aggressive yet.
It's mysterious.
Very
What do you
mysterious.
guys think is the reasoning for this?
Well, we were talking about it as kind of he has had to channel a lot of like angry feelings
Yeah.
based on his upbringing.
Right.
Right.
His brother and his dad.
Yeah, so he's had experience with
He's
that.
dealt with violence in the form of his family being warlords, and like that clearly has messed him up.
And I guess like anytime he encounters anything trying to be like a mighty warrior and is constantly either strung up or like hit in the face by Gabrielle and or Xena.
That's him swallowing his rage.
Yep. All right, so they get onto this castle, and oh my god, surprise, bitch! You thought you saw
my
the
God.
last of me. It's
The del-
Sisyphus.
The way in which he appears, just like there's like torches going on and off, and like colored lights and things like spinning and exploding, and you're just like, not this bitch. Even before he turns up.
But he has a whole thing where he was like, "You made fun of my skills last time, but now I'm like half whatever undead, and I have actual powers. Look at me operate."
Now,
He's
this
really-
man directed the episode.
Oh right, yes.
Yeah, this is director Charles Siebert coming in to play Sisyphus. I don't remember the name of the actor from the
No, who
previous
knows?
go around, but
This is Sisyphus 2.
Sisyphus 2.0. Charles Siebert directing the episode was just like, give me that hat.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, so
He gives us some long, elaborate explanation for what he's been up to. He was on a Hercules episode between his first Xena appearance and now. So I'm sure that kind of fills in some of the blanks. But the long and short of it is that he died somehow, and he got his rock, and now he's trying to run away from that particular punishment.
This is where the episode starts to lose my attention slightly.
Where the real plot starts kicking in.
Just like a lot of plotty machinations start going on in this place.
Yeah, so the reality show premise is that these warlords pick a number and they have to fight this like super monster, the Baracus, and whoever beats this monster gets the sword.
New God of War.
They become the new God of War.
Dun, dun, dun.
And they draw the numbers, and it seems that Callisto has the first one.
Yeah, so she would have gone up first against the Baracus.
Yeah. And then, so that immediately causes the warlords to fight, and one of them gets killed, like right then.
And as soon as that happens, you're like, oh, I see.
Yeah. So then there were 9.
That's the dealio with this scenario. Stand back and let them pick each other off. Meanwhile, Gabrielle is...
Well, they're in the storm pipes.
Yes.
And it was... Whose idea was it?
I don't even know.
They fight over whose idea it was.
Oh, yes.
And this is where... Is this where Joxer starts getting angry?
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Almost
like, he's first... All right.
At first, he's being reasonable, whereas Gabrielle is like, this was my idea. Me. Me. But then a fly starts buzzing around Joxer, and that's when he eventually loses it over the fly.
Which is doing her
totally understandable. I lose my mind over flies all the time.
I literally thought that he was still like not angry because of that. Because I was like, yep, that's legit.
A completely human response.
Yeah. And I mean, the important thing is that they run into the Baracus, who turns out to be a fan, like a giant
An actual straight up fan.
And like
your biggest fan.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty big. And like a carnival-like face decoration.
There's a really cute thing that I have to point out in the scene where he goes after the fly. If you just look at Renee in the background really quick, when he starts... I don't know, stabbing the fly, you can visibly see like Renee cracks a little bit, like she's like shoulder shake laughing, and it's adorable.
She's supposed to be pissed off.
It's really cute. Oh my God. I don't care. It's very adorable. Anyway,
meanwhile, Ares and Xena are in a bedroom, and Ares has been wounded in the previous warlord fight, and Xena's like, take your shirt off. And the audience is like, thank you.
And I think this is what you were talking about before, where this certainly would have been a great scene to see between Kevin and Lucy.
This was the scene I was thinking of, where I was like, oh, it's too bad. Even though Hudson is really great here.
Yeah, she's great.
It's a really well-written scene, really well played. It's just one of those things where this is a really important moment for Xena's relationship with Ares, and it's a little strange because it's not Lucy who gets to perform it.
Ares here informs Xena that he fucked Callisto. I mean, in Xena's body, that is.
She is so not thrown by this.
Chestnut.
Zero
and the
reactions.
whole reason Callisto did it was to mess with her mind.
Yeah.
And it seems to have not worked.
Yeah, instead she does her patented, like, I'm gonna take a long bath.
One-liners are appropriate when sexual violence is involved.
It's true. This is again I will say it again, a fascinating trope in supernatural stories. She wasn't there, Xena.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect her.
No memory.
In her brain. Right?
I mean, yeah.
It's so complicated.
It's so
can't handle it.
Because, consent, and like a lot of people aren't mentally there and are raped.
Of course.
So,
of course.
mean,
at the same, it's so crazy. It's such a crazy trope.
Yeah. It's a strange, the power of fantasy is you get to work through these kind of really moral, thickety situations.
Because it is gross.
It's gross. And especially
but at the same
knowing
time,
that Callisto did it deliberately to be gross.
Right.
Like, that was why she did it. She had no interest in sleeping with Ares otherwise.
No interest whatsoever. Yeah.
But this is the problem of the episode, where there's zero Xena reacting to this shit moments. Like,
I think if
give
it had
us
been a longer
moment.
arc, it really would have
Yeah,
But
that
she
would have
could
been
have like made a
definitely
face.
interesting.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
There are a lot of pretty amazing lines in this scene. Ares creepily complimenting her touch and trying to kiss her hands. He tries to start something. It's kind of icky. Again, because she's in someone else's body.
But she's tending to his wound.
Yeah.
And she's like bandaging his torso.
He also says something that we've often talked about on the podcast, which is that he's noticed that when she fights, she has that old sparkle in her eyes. You enjoyed it. She always enjoys it.
She does.
It's interesting because I think over the course of this episode, Ares really gets to know Xena as she is now, albeit in the body of Callisto. But I feel like he's beginning to see that, Xena on the redemptive path isn't a goody two-shoes. She is sort of this very complicated person.
This is a really great moment, actually, for Ares. He has this really great line where she's like, "You changed." And then he goes, "I think you might be surprised by the change you can inspire in a man or a god." And it was really like, you believed that.
I remember when we were talking about this, Vera, you connected it back to Callisto's line in the previous
No man
episode.
or god
No
can tell
man
me
or
what
God
to
can
do.
tell me what to do. So these two women are more powerful than the gods. They can change the gods. The gods have to change for them.
Mm-hmm.
Do we believe him? I mean, is he just saying this to get into her pants? Or Callisto's pants? Or whose ever pants are involved in the scene?
I believe him because I believe Spike. I do. I think it's really boring to have a one-note character. And even if Ares always behaves like a little shit, it's always great when deep down he's like kind of pathetic,
He
And
loves
that's-
her. I mean, he is just willing to do
Yeah.
anything to get her attention, to get her love. Like, he is brought low even while being a god. That is true. I definitely see the Spike parallels, particularly because they both look really good in leather pants.
Can you imagine Spike with an earring like that?
Oh, God. Yes, unfortunately I can. The late 90s were a hard time.
There's a great moment where Ares is afraid of a rat.
Oh, yeah. She's got a good yelp.
He says it's surprise, not fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, which made me immediately like question anytime I'm like yelping at some kind of scurrying creature.
You realize that you're not actually afraid of any
Vermin, you're just surprised.
No, well, vermin, no, but like bugs, I feel like I am afraid of them.
Yeah, they don't have faces. Just like Callisto's victims.
They have faces.
They
also have faces. They're
The
bug
idea, what? They have
She said
bug
bugs don't
faces?
have faces.
Bugs don't have faces.
But they do.
They do, and they're scary as fuck.
What constitutes a face? You need eyes, a mouth, and a nose. They don't
That's
have
what
those
bugs
things.
have.
Ew, I hate
Listen, it terrified me, the idea that whenever they camp, there could be a sand spider attacking, okay,
It's awful.
anytime. And
They
she has to
sleep in
literally
the forest
stab
all
it.
the time.
But
Oh
it's
my
her
God.
favorite thing to do. You saw her face. It's her favorite thing to do.
She lives for it.
She waits for that sand spider to crawl. Sisyphus finds out that Xena is in Callisto's body at some point.
Yeah, right here. It's unclear how. Maybe he's just been like lurking and overheard them talking.
I think so.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, we didn't mention it, but as this is going on, like, a bunch of these warlords are killing each
Yeah,
other.
this is just, some of
Yeah,
it.
this is again where it like I tune out because I'm just like I don't know who you are, warlords. I don't know what's happening.
Well, I feel like this episode has a pretty good sense of like what the priority is because you're mostly just dealing with Xena and Ares, kind of having their moments, and like
Yeah.
in the background almost.
Like you just have the warlords picking each other off.
Yeah, so
Sometimes
it's not
it
that
enters into the
much.
scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like the point. So this is in this moment, like Sisyphus unleashes a whole bunch of his haunted mansion nonsense on them.
So nonsensical.
You have the stairs that turn into the slide. You have some kind of like rope thing that like lassos Ares and dangles him upside down over not just spikes, but also fire. It's
Yeah.
like too much, dude. He is a tacky ass king.
He's so
oh my god.
ridiculous. So they're like swinging, like they're like trapezing Xena and Ares
Oh
over
yeah,
this
it's an elaborate, like,
fire
their
and like the
feet are
walls.
together. together.
Yeah.
It was
And the
crazy.
walls are coming in with the spikes.
I kind of felt
Oh,
like
yeah.
if Lucy Lawless had been performing this stunt, it would have been really different. I feel like Hudson is so much bendier.
She is, yes.
That it turned out to be this almost like acrobatic thing. Yeah. Trapeze work.
Well, I didn't need any of it.
I like that point of view shot where she's like perched on Ares' feet and he's dangling upside down, and you kind of see his dangling torso going like, whoa.
Whoa.
It was a cute shot.
Yeah, I like that. So they escaped that. I was so concerned they were going to get smoshed.
They make it back to, I guess, the central chamber and kill the last of the goons. Well, the last of the goons.
It's ZZ Top.
Yeah. They fight ZZ Top and the other one, and Ares kills ZZ Top and gets blood on his hands and marvels at it because as a god, he never gets his hands dirty.
Yeah.
It's a good moment, good character moment for Ares, and reminds you of the previous episode where Xena had blood on her hand.
So he has that sword that caused all this, but he never uses that sword, huh? He never kills anyone?
He's sort of the
As a god?
ceremonial figure. Like he's not a great warrior. Like he claims to be. He claims to be there at all these awesome battles, but usually, like, I guess, rallying the troops, being like, "I'm the god of war, go get him."
Is he the joxer
I mean, with
of
Xena,
gods?
he's always, he doesn't fight. He's like trying to have sex with her all the time. Like you think
Well, he needs humans
like
to
if
fight
he
for him.
was a great warrior, he should just conquer the world and bring peace and prosperity and all his nonsense. He doesn't do that stuff. He himself is not that. He's not a warrior.
He's the CEO of war.
Yeah, he's the CEO of war.
He needs to get lackeys to do the actual thing.
work.
Yeah. Jaxer sings the warrior sword song.
All right. Just a little proto Joxer the Mighty tune.
Yeah.
Never gets bored. Something. Gabrielle does not like it.
They were really cute in this episode together. They had
Yeah.
good chemistry.
Yeah.
This is the first time I noticed whatever it is the writers noticed that made them start doing the shipping.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
They are really great together. And then they always tell stories, the actors, that they could never keep a straight face together.
As
Just
he's
literally
demonstrated.
saw.
You can't. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, they're clearly very playful rapport.
All right, so it turns out that Hades orchestrated this whole thing, right?
Yeah, I assume because he's annoyed at Ares for having plotted with Callisto right under his nose.
He stole his sword?
He at least helped engineer it with Sisyphus. It's a little unclear exactly how this happened. They never really explained. But Hades and Sisyphus hatched this scheme. Hades promised Sisyphus that he would get the sword and be the new god of war, but only if he brings him 10 great warriors.
Oh, really? I thought this whole thing was so that he could, Sisyphus that is, escape the underworld by switching.
That's true too.
With Xena somehow.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the 10 would end up pushing his rock, and he would be god of war. Meanwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also love that Joxer busts in here, having supposedly vanquished the Baracus, which, as you may recall, is a giant fan. And he says, "Meet the new god of war. You may bow." Good little moment. And then Gabrielle says, that the Baracus is really just this big noise-making thingamajig. Like him. Points at Joxer, which is really mean, but super accurate.
So Ares gets his sword back, and he immediately godifies.
And forgets every nice thing he ever said to Xena this episode, which she tells him he is going to do. Right when he's like, I won't forget the things you've done for me. And Xena says, yes, you will. And he does. She's right.
Don't forget Gab's poltergeists at him.
Oh, yeah.
Very particular reference.
Yeah.
For some reason.
A little odd to see it here.
Don't know why it
The
happened, but
Halloween
it
episode
did.
was 3 weeks ago, guys.
So now we're on the beach, and it's a nice golden hue. And Xena and Gabrielle are walking. It's really actually a really good shot. This is where I noticed the tall, small still remains, and it's great. And Xena asks, "Hey, Gabrielle, would you still be my friend if I was a snake-haired Gorgon monster?"
Aw.
And did she say yes? I don't really remember.
She says, I'll be there for you no matter whose body you're in, even a snake-haired Gorgon monster.
Just won't look at her when she's a snake-haired Gorgon monster.
Yeah, and then like a magical thing happens where they switch.
Yeah, so here's the fun part of this, which I really super enjoy. So the workaround to get all this footage to work, right? You have Ares become a god again, right? And he's supposed to give Xena her body back, but then he just cackles away and doesn't do it, right?
And you think you're stuck with Hudson Leick for another episode or two.
Because that's what she says,
You're
right?
getting
She's like,
really excited about that possibility.
And you're like, okay, like that happened again, right? So instead, what they needed to do to get Xena back into her own body was they used footage from the credits with a different color grading to match this beautiful sunsetty
yellow
beach
hue.
scene. Yeah, orangey
She's
yellow.
got that nice headband.
So nice.
That Sins of the Past headband.
So the plot here becomes that like Ares just like fucked with them for a couple of hours for no reason.
I think he like literally forgot about it, and then like 3 hours later was like, "Fuck,
oops." It's for some reason that like I'm mildly delighted by that he like cackles away, and then hours later is like, "Oh, here you go," or maybe it's not even hours later. It could be they just walked out and it was like 25 minutes later.
I think he was embarrassed that Xena saw him in his state, so he like needed to do a little bit of payback.
But like, yeah, so it needed to happen on a beach. It couldn't happen in that room they were in because they didn't have Lucy. They didn't have the footage for right.
But they also needed to leave the island, so it made sense that they were on the beach.
They would just leave.
Perfectly fine.
It just really amuses me to no end that he like waited a little.
It's a gorgeous shot of her. I understand
really
why they would use that one
of
all the many.
And it was a good idea because they were like, all right, we have this plot where they're on this island or whatever. They're gonna have to like leave the island. Like, what can we do? We have this. We can make this match as good as we can, and that worked.
Not that good.
Yeah, I thought the shot of her like is fine because it has like a wistful. It has like romantic and nice, and you're like, ooh, I mean, it's so pretty.
Very strange.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that your friend didn't notice anything.
That doesn't bother me. That shot is I'm fine with it. I like the way they're walking and the camera's on Gabrielle the whole time. Not the whole time, but like it becomes just on her. And then you hear the Hudson voice like transition into Lucy. It's really cool, and
Which
it's all
is
still
intriguing because
Renee.
in the previous episode we had Renee's voice transitioning into Hudson's in that dream sequence.
Cool.
Interesting how they've played these tricks.
Yeah. So I don't know, the happy smiley Xena face, like just that works for me. I'm fine with that.
It
That's
works.
Fine.
It works.
It's the somebody else that busts in a second.
Yeah.
Do you think if they maybe like did a close up of it just to make it look slightly different from the credits, just because it's just literally the credits shot?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it doesn't, for me, quite play contextually. Like, it just, to me, doesn't feel like she's reacting to what just happened. It just doesn't...
She's happy to be back
She's
in her
just,
body.
someone told Lucy Lawless to smile. Like, that is what she's playing right there,
That is the most confounding, like, reaction shot in general. Like, she is just so happy. I
So
really want to know
happy.
what prompted that. It is the best, like, turnaround smile in credits history. Even more so in the Lego credits.
Oh!
So good.
Definitely maybe the real reaction would have been a little more like, I don't know, I can't make a face on a podcast. But you know what I mean? I can kind of see the face she might have made.
It would be a more complicated
Yeah.
expression. It doesn't actually feel like the right face for the circumstance. But it's a really pretty shot.
And you're so happy.
Our sympathies to them. They did not have Lucy Lawless.
Right.
They needed to find a way of putting her back in her own body because next week they're going to be showing episodes from before her injury.
Right, exactly.
It's a really complicated, impossible scenario. It was always going to look a little bit awkward and weird.
That shot's so pretty, it doesn't even bother me. The stand-in is different.
Yeah, the thinner thighs.
Yeah, those are not Lucy Lawless's thighs whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh, it's so obvious.
But it's so cute how here's two cute things about that last shot with the very obvious stand-in that they can't do anything about. So we must deal with it. Number 1 is just super cute, the way Gabs like hugs her.
Yeah.
That's always cute. Number 2, I didn't even notice that Olivia pointed it out, that like Joxer is just like running around like a crazy person in the background, like waving his like a sword around, or just, it doesn't even, I thought maybe he was running at them because he saw Xena. No, it's like he's like running in a circle or something.
Like a 6-year-old kid
It's
unleashed
just
at the
like
beach.
going
He's just
crazy.
Like, yeah!
It's really funny.
Okay.
We did it. We did it,
That
guys.
one. A better episode than we remembered, I think,
Yeah.
and for interesting reasons.
I feel
Hudson
like we should
particularly.
just applaud for Hudson Leick coming in here
Absolutely.
in this crazy circumstance.
Stepping up.
Just, it's a typical Xena episode,
Yeah.
but with a different actress playing Xena, and I don't mind. I really don't mind.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job. I don't mind so much that I wish that it continued, honestly. All right, so are we done with this?
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
covered it.
10 Little Warlords, and then there were none.
Next week, we have the Christmas episode and also the
Put
clip
on
show
your
episode.
Santa hats.
Yeah.
Get on your Indiana Jones hat.
It's not even Christmas in July. We can't even say it's Christmas
No,
in July.
but
It's
we can
Christmas
put on
in
all the
March.
hats that I
Or
just
April or
mentioned.
whatever. You can take out all the hats. In the meantime, you can follow us on all the things.
Okay, yeah, iTunes, please subscribe, rate, leave a review. We're on Twitter at Xena Warrior Pod, Facebook and Tumblr at Xena Warrior Podcast. If you like extra content, we're over there doing lots of fun stuff. So you can follow us on all that. Yeah, those are all the things.
All
the
things.
podcast places.
The power.
The passion.
The
podcast.
Whoops.